I'm going to give you the best 3 bang for your buck shooters the Chicago Bulls can target in free agency, and it starts right now. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page, man. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talks. So make sure that you stay in tune with us, man. So, Chicago Bulls have to do something in free agency tonight, and it seems like AK has had the conversation of possibly going out and making a little bit of a splash based on his words that he said at the press conference after the draft. We all remember that, right? Remember, oh, don't worry about it, we're gonna do something, y'all. You just gotta wait and see what we do in free agency. So what are they realistically going to do in free agency? There's not a ton of money for the Bulls to go after. I don't think that all of a sudden we have this plethora of money and we're going to be able to just go out and get whoever we want. Now, maybe some trades will be made. Maybe there'll end up being some moves made, some deals made that put the Bulls in a little bit of a better position. But I just don't see it right now. So I'm going to give you the best 3 players to me that are going to give the Bulls the best bang for their buck. That $12 million basically that they have to hold on to bring in and actually be an asset pretty much, I mean, next season, maybe a couple of years. There's not a lot out there for the Bulls here. But for next season, for sure, some guys that I look at as a couple of assets. Number 1 on the list for me is Seth Curry. I think this is an easy one. A guy who is a shooter. The Bulls need shooting. The Bulls need guys who have the mindset of a shooter. Seth Curry comes in. He can play a little bit of point guard position for you. I don't know if I want him to play a ton anymore just because of the minutes per game, injuries, and things like that. But he did play 61 games last season, only started 7 games. But Seth Curry is a career 43% three-point shooter. I almost said free throw shooter. That would be terrible. 3-point shooter. To me, he is a guy who can find his shot no matter what, does have that Curry gene in him about that, right? And he's a guy who also can create for you a little bit offensively. He can play a little bit of point guard for the Bulls, slide in there, be able to facilitate things, plays well off of the pick and roll, can find Zach LaVine in open spaces, allow Zach LaVine to be the shooting guard that this Bulls team needs. That's what some of these names are, right? At the end of the day, the Bulls are going into this free agency trying to make the team better, but also trying to make the players on their team already better and put them in positions like we saw in the second half of the season where they were more successful. Seth Curry, to me, when you've seen him in starting roles, when we saw him in a starting role in Brooklyn, saw him in a starting role in Philly, right? He's usually about a 15-point per game guy. Not bad. I mean, honestly, when you're getting the time, when he's getting the minutes. Assist-wise, usually only about 4 or 5. Nothing crazy. I'm not sitting here telling you that he's going to be the point guard of the Bulls' future here. But what I think that he is, he's a guy that can space the floor. He's a guy that can find guys in the in this offense, and I think that he would be able to run this offense really well. Is he going to help you defensively? Absolutely not. But the Chicago Bulls, to me, need a mindset change, and they were one of the worst 3-point shooting teams, not just based off percentage, but just based off attempts, even though they were one of the best 3-point shooting teams when it came to creating those attempts, right? You got to take them. You got to have a willingness to pull the trigger on those. Seth Curry does. To me, Seth Curry would be a good addition. I think you could still have a little bit of money left over for signing a guy like Seth Curry, right? You could sign him for maybe $7 million, $8 million, and then end up still having $4 million or $5 million left over to be able to go out and try and add other assets. Let me know how you guys feel about Seth Curry in the comments below. Don't worry, it does get better. I'm not sitting here telling you guys that Seth Curry's the answer. It should not be the answer that AK was flexing either. Watch what we do in free agency. But let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. Name number 2 on this list, a little bit more intriguing to me. Hasn't played the point guard position in some time, but a guy that can play that point guard position, and a guy that's still coming in ton of minutes, still being able to knock down the three ball, still being able to go out there and be a contributor on the offensive end. Got traded to the Clippers last season, just got waived. Number 2 for me is Eric Gordon. I think that Eric Gordon is a really, really solid piece that the Bulls could go out and add. Now, is he going to be the 20-point per game Eric Gordon that he once was? God, I hope not, because that means that, you're putting all your chips on Eric Gordon. He's getting a lot of shots in this offense, but at a minimum, right, he's still a guy who, when he's putting up 5 to 6 threes a game, he's still knocking it down at a 37+% clip. Again, we're trying to find guys that can go out and add some scoring. Eric Gordon can run a little bit of point for you. I don't want to see him run a ton of it, but he can run a little bit of point. But the one thing about Eric Gordon that gets me excited is he's a guy that's still playing a ton of games just about every year, playing minutes too. This is not Eric Gordon, old man, I'm done, tucked away. No, he's still playing with that Clippers team, he was playing 24 minutes a game. But before that on Houston, in 47 games, started off 47, 30 minutes a game, shot at about 43% from the field, shot at about 37% from the 3-point line over there in Houston. And so, it's one of those things where you're getting a guy who actually can run with the team, can still provide good minutes, can still go out there and make an impact offensively. Defensively, you're going to get what you're going to get. He's not a bad defender, just not a good one either. But I think he's a guy that you could plug into this starting lineup and feel okay about. Again, remember what I said about what the Bulls have to focus on this offseason when going out, finding somebody that can shoot and can play the point guard position. I don't think that Eric Gordon is going to be. Heck, Eric Gordon barely even played point guard after those, after them New Orleans years in the slightest, right? Like, he's been more of a shooting guard for most of his career. But, and this is a big but, is he better than Patrick Beverley? That's the question on the table. Even though it sounds like they might even be trying to run this back a little bit with Pat Bev. Like, I don't know what the heck's going on there. We'll see with that. But I can see Eric Gordon being a guy that you could plug in, bringing the ball up. Not to say he is a point guard, but he could bring the ball up, get everybody kind of organized, right? Still be a threat off of that ball. I think you'd probably have more of what we saw last season, where it's point guard by committee, where you would have Zach LaVine bringing the ball up some, DeMar DeRozan bringing the ball up some. Those aren't ideal situations. Heck, even if you are starting Kobe White as that point guard position, which I guess in this situation I'd be okay with, right? And you're bringing Eric Gordon off of your bench. I would love to see that as well. I think that Eric Gordon is a realistic get for the Chicago Bulls, because you're going out and getting a guy that's going to get a ton of minutes. Eric Gordon going to be able to go a couple of places where, the Clippers end up waiving him. Is he going to go to the Lakers? How is that cap situation going to work? I think with him, you probably would have to offer more of the mid-level exception, probably almost all of that mid-level exception, to be able to get him in here, $12 million a year. But for the shooting that you're going to get out of him, and the fact that he actually can play meaningful minutes, being a backup to Zach LaVine would be the best option to me. And running out there starting lineup, or a starting 7, I guess, of Kobe White, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic, Patrick Williams, Alex Caruso, and you add Eric Gordon into that mix. You still got Ayo Dosunmu if he does end up opting in off of your bench. So I think that those would be that would be a nice rotation right there. He'd be a really nice rotational piece. I think he's a guy that if people went down, you could throw him in the starting lineup. So he'd be another interesting one for me. Let me know how you guys are feeling in the comments below about Eric Gordon as well. And then finally, let's finish it off with this one, man. A name, that younger guy. Now, the tough part is, right, the first two to me are they're this season plugs, right? Like, I'm not looking for Eric Gordon to be here for 3 years. I'm not looking for Seth Curry to be here for 3 years, right? I'm just not. But the guys that I am looking at, the guys that really are catching, one of the guys that really catches my eye that I think could be a long-term piece, who's coming off of his best shooting season in his career and actually getting a little bit of starter time over there when guys were down, Donte DiVincenzo. I think Donte DiVincenzo is probably the number one name that I would want to see the Chicago Bulls target on this list. Actually coming off a 39% three-point shooting season. A guy who's not afraid to take them, took about 5 threes a game last year. a guy that has that mindset of, I'm going to pull the three ball. I'm going to take this shot. You're not going to stop me. I think he's a guy that might even have a little bit more upside. Still very young, right? I believe he's coming into this season 27 years old. So Dante DiVincenzo to me would be a really good get for the Chicago Bulls, a shooter that Chicago Bulls can rely on, a guy that you could have here for a few years to come. Does he answer your point guard position question? Absolutely not. He just doesn't. So you'd have to run it out there with Coby White, like we talked about with Eric Gordon. None of these guys really answer the question, but a couple of them can run it. Donte DiVincenzo is not that guy. To me, DiVincenzo is a guy who can come in, he's going to get his shots up, he's going to be able to go out there and be free. He'd be the Chicago Bulls shooter. I think that he's a guy that plugs right in. Would love to see him on this roster, especially running out there with a lineup that includes Zach LaVine and Coby White on the floor at the same time, trying to figure that out. Maybe having Zach LaVine play the three there in that situation. Coby DiVincenzo, as Zach LaVine. I guess the question with him would be, do you think that he would be able to actually get a ton of minutes? I do believe that. I think that he would almost be able to get pretty much probably 25 to 30 minutes a game. I think that he could be somebody who, when we're looking at the Bulls trying to create more offense, when the Bulls are trying to go on those offensive runs, that an offense that includes him, Coby, and Zach LaVine, at least you're moving, you're attacking, you're putting the team on their back heels, because realistically they got to worry about pretty much all three of those guys. DiVincenzo a little bit less, but with Zach and Coby for sure, you got to worry about them blowing past you. You got to worry about them being able to pull up and take the three. DiVincenzo is also a guy, to me, who accentuates your big signing in Nikola Vucevic, who you just got, because down low, Vuce is going to be looking to kick out the guys who are going to be willing to pull the shot and going to be able to knock that shot down. That is a guy like Donte DiVincenzo to me. I think he would be my number one guy on this list, the number one guy who I think the Bulls should be looking to bring in. And if you can get a Donte DiVincenzo on this team, you're spending the full money, but I mean, you would be giving him a raise. Basically, he made, I believe he was on a $5 million deal last season. So you would have to offer him that full mid-level exception. To me, now Pat Bev is out. You know what I mean? Like that, I'm not sitting here with the hoping for the Pat Bev effect next season. Now I'm looking for other guys to step up. Now I'm looking for better leadership from guys in the building, things that we haven't seen from this Bulls team, things that have been issues for this Bulls team. But at the end of the day, I think that this would be the best shooter on the market, age-wise, price-wise, that the Bulls might be able to go after. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. I don't think that he's going to get the bag out here, but I do think, I mean, you look at the guy, man, he is absolutely a guy that can fill up the stat sheet. Coming off of the bench, maybe there's some more upside to DiVincenzo. I don't know how much, right? Like, I think he's probably going to be a 10 to 12 point per game player, but you're hoping that those 12 points are 4 3-pointers on 4 of 8 shooting or 4 of 9 shooting, something like that, where it just puts you over the top. You got to change the mindset on this team. You absolutely have to. That's why you bring in the shooting coach. That's why you bring in the you bring in the same guy, new head of player development, essentially. But I mean, let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you guys as well. How do you feel about a Donte DiVincenzo on this team? Should the Bulls be in on him? Let me know how you guys feel, man. As always, it's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again to continue watching our Chicago Bulls content. Click the links on the screen or check the links in the description below. And if you're only here for the Bulls content, make sure that you're tuned in to the Chicago Bulls Breeze. As always, man, y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. One love. Peace. Oh, by the way, we'll be live for the NBA free agency at 5. So tune in with us on that as well. Peace.